Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Gayle Carson. Welcome to Living Regret Free, a program that shows you how to live a better and more joyful life. As an added bonus, I invite you to listen to an introduction to my Mindset Matters program, which ties into this so well. Go to www.sobmindset.com. It's free, and I know you will enjoy it. If you'd like to contact me personally, drop me a line at gaylecarson13@gmail.com or go to my website, www.spunkyoldbroad.com, and sign up for my weekly newsletter. Hi, everyone. This is Gayle Carson, and my guest today is Eileen Head. She's been called the Relationship Whisperer. She's a speaker, author, and personality pattern and relationship coach. Couples and singles hire her to interpret and translate their personality traits so they can live a juicier life and get loved the way they need. Welcome, Eileen.
Good morning to you and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, let's get right to it, Eileen. Let's find out exactly why you're the relationship whisperer and why do people call you that?
Well, it's a term that people understand that about relationships. Relationships are confusing and people don't really, it's difficult to figure them out. And from my basis of training with the Enneagram and identifying patterns and behaviors, it's like I can predict and help them to understand really the patterns that are within themselves and others so that they can connect and love and share and become a better person within themselves.
So let's talk about, because, we're talking about relationships. Is it only singles who get their heart? Well, I guess who get hurt and close their hearts down. I guess I would think not, because I certainly know enough married people who are in the same situation. They're in a relationship, but they aren't really in a relationship. So let's deal with singles first. What happens when they shut their hearts down?
Well, singles have had past relationships that haven't worked out. They've been hurt and wounded and confused, and that makes them hesitant to go into new relationships. It makes it more difficult for them to trust, and they're looking out there to see if they can trust other people when really they're not sure they can trust themselves in love and in relationships again. And the reason for that is that they don't understand themselves fully. So when you really understand what you need to feel loved, what your value is in the world, what makes you great, what are your strengths, no matter what relationship you're in, that gives you a strong foundation. And it also makes you healthier going forward because you know what you need to feel loved. You can communicate that to someone else. You know what you're looking for in another person, what values. And when it comes down to the 9 personalities, you understand the traits, the relationship traits they bring in are those the relationship traits you're looking for. So you can make better decisions on choosing a partner that is more compatible with you, that will probably create a more successful relationship.
Okay, so here we are. We're married. We have our relationship. We're with our other best person. What causes them to shut their hearts down? Because we know that it happens. And what happened? What do you do?
It's the personality differences that cause challenges in relationships. Everyone knows they have personality differences. They don't know how to deal with them. That gets frustrating. That they personalize it. If you loved me, you would. No. If you loved me, you would do this. However, neither one of them knows what that is. So resentments start building up. Resentments causes distance. It causes a lack of respect for each other. And that's when married relationships start to disintegrate.
It's interesting because, you talked about the Enneagram, which I know what it is. Maybe some of our listeners don't, but it really shows, strengths and weaknesses and personality situations, etc. And of course, it would be great if we could all take that and meet our ideal one. But basically, the heart rules all, so that doesn't always happen. But, you still have to deal with what's going on in your life. And I would say the majority of couples have no clue, about the other strengths or weaknesses of the other person. They just know, is there a connection there? Do I think I will get along with this person, and so forth. So I would assume there's a lot of situations where, this is going to happen. But are women more apt to shut down their hearts to their partners than men?
Well, I used to think so. Women have a perception that men are, they're unemotional, they're unattached. But in my practice, I'm finding it very different. Men seem to be more on their own. Like, women can at least discuss it with friends and talk about things. Men have been raised not to do that. So they really are confused, and they're on their own, and they're just trying to figure out this woman, what she wants and what she needs. And as women, we're constantly shifting that. Well, last week I was okay with you doing that, but now this week I'm upset because you're doing that. And I just like to share a little about the Enneagram. What the Enneagram is it's 9 personalities. It's been around since the 1700s. It's a well-respected personality model that's used in large corporations, religions, therapists, etc. And what it helps you with is the deep understanding of yourself and each other, so you can form that connected, loving relationship. Even when you're having challenges with each other, you'll know why that challenge is, what's happening, and very specifically how to change the patterns or the responses so your partner feels heard and loved and connected.
Well, I would agree that, certainly there are certainly different vibes between men and women. I will say the younger guy, I think, is much more sensitive than someone who is maybe, middle to later age, because they weren't raised with the same kind of surroundings and culture. But what drew you to this, Eileen? I mean, it's I don't know how you started out, but this is where you've ended up. So
Well, I was in a confusing 35-year marriage where we were great people. We had the same values, morals, goals, and yet we're unable to connect. And I didn't know what that was. And I turned myself inside out to figure that out, to read self-help books, took workshops, read marriage manuals, tried all the lingo to use with my husband. And he still would not be responsive. So after 35 years, as I left that marriage, I found the Enneagrams, and I read our 2 profiles. And in 35 minutes, I knew more about myself, our relationship, and him than in all those years we'd lived together. And here's the important part. I could see my impact on him years later as I continued to study the Enneagram. I could see my part. It wasn't all about him.
Well, I was just going to say, do you think had you known what you know now, that the marriage would have survived?
Well, maybe not in the last 5 years, because, you get to a certain point where your energy is all used up, where if the other person is not going to respond, not willing to do the work, then there's no point in continuing. And that's what I figured out. There was just no point in continuing, because he was, at that time, unfortunately, unwilling to look at some of the things about himself that might be impacting our relationship. And so I left that relationship and then became so passionate that I didn't want other people to struggle like I did. There are answers, very specific answers to relationships through personality.
Wow. So when people come to you and you work with them, or you deliver lectures, or you are in a situation where you are speaking to a group, what is the most frequent question you get from the group?
Well, if it's married women, which is some of my coaching and some of my title, should I stay or should I go? That's one of the big ones. They want to stay, but they don't want the relationship like it is. So they're in that, I don't know what I can do, or should I stay or should I go, or how I can improve this. And my first goal is always to re-engage, regenerate, and rejuvenate that relationship if possible.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a tough question when you're up on stage and you're
Hmm.
talking and someone asks you that question. You don't want to say, well, leave, you know,
Oh, I
you want to say,
definitely
try to
don't.
work it out. Yeah, absolutely. Wow. So, is this what being a personality pattern coach is all about?
Yes, yes, because the basis of all my coaching is based on their personality because all life experiences, all communication patterns, all feelings of loved comes from the core of your personality traits. Your personality is formed at the age of about 7 when you've looked out on your family of origin and decided I need to be a certain way and play a certain role in order to get the most love and attention. And those patterns become roles, the roles become identities, and the identities become personalities. And a lot of people will say, this is just the way I am. No, it's not. The beauty of the Enneagram is it shows you 9 levels of development of the person you can become.
But you again have to do the work. I mean, if you decide, well, no, it's not really, I'm not I'm not that person. I don't want to do it. Someone has
Hmm.
to
Yep.
change for me, not I
Yes,
have to change for them. It's not going to work.
that's right. And that's why a lot of singles are not successful. They're looking for the person that's going to work with them instead of asking the question also of what do I need to do to be the partner for the person I want.
Wow. Wow. So, is that the biggest challenge between men and women in relationships? This not knowing who the other person is?
I would say that. I know there's the men women dynamic, and I've got a course, Open Your Heart to Loving Again, and I know that there's ways men want to protect and look after, and women, but women have developed now into, well, I can do it as good as you. As a matter of fact, most of the time I can do it better than you, and men really don't know what their role is anymore with the woman. And so we're
Well,
also,
this is
handling that dynamic. And men are more, like you mentioned, the younger men have been raised by their mothers to be more sensitive, more caring. And so a lot of times women have this perception of, I want this strong man. And they're looking and they're not seeing that underneath the strong man, they also have a heart. They're caring and sensitive as well.
Yeah, that's why I think I was so fortunate. My husband was kind of a combination. People used to call him a teddy bear, but on the other
Hmm.
hand, he was really strong. I mean, if he would fight for us, and he would, no, nobody took advantage of his family, if you know what I'm saying. So I was
Yeah.
very fortunate. He was super, which I guess is why I'm still single after 11 years of being a widow, because I've just never found anybody like him. But I think it's really, really important for people to understand this. But okay, Eileen, you are this person, but what about people who don't have you? In other words, they don't know about this. They don't know about the Enneagram. They don't know about these difference in personality styles. They don't know. Are these the people that need to go for counseling? You know, it's couples counseling. Are these the people who just have to be open? I mean, if each person has a good heart and have good intentions in play, do they just have to go for it? I mean, not everybody is going to
Right.
be aware of this.
Yeah. See, the people who make successful relationships are the people who have some consciousness and awareness of their impact on their partner, that take responsibility, because you have a responsibility to change your patterns to be different, who's conscious and wants to be better, who's loving and caring and giving to the other person, and a lot of times can communicate their needs in a loving and respectful way. Those are the people who make successful relationships.
Wow. Well, that makes a big, yeah, I think, and probably that's what my husband and I had, you know, but I have to say that I certainly see people who are totally different, who are together and have a great relationship. And you wonder why, you know, you say,
Yeah,
how did
yeah.
they make it? How did they do it? But, you know, evidently there's a way to do that. So, uh, what is the first thing you tell the couples that you work with?
Well, the first thing we do is we look at the relationships, and I do a couple dynamics reading between them to show them their similarities, their differences, their potential trouble spots. And then I help them, through situations. I had one gal come to me and she said, "I'm done. He's controlling. He's a bully, and I'm not staying with him, and I'm leaving." And so we started the sessions, and then her husband said, "Well, I'd like to have a session too, and I'd like to give you my part of it." And he came on and said, "I just want to help her. She never takes help. She does everything herself, and I'm just trying to lead her to a place where she can receive help and leave help." And I went, "Yep, isn't that interesting? We read differently, right?" And so I taught them their impact on each other and how their patterns were, and to look at the responses differently. And she calls me up a little while later and she said, "What did you do to my husband?" And I went, what's this going to be about?" And she said, "He's so loving. He's so respectful." I taught him that his energy was too large for her, too dominant, to back that off a bit. And I taught her that, you're really being a victim. Let him help you. He wants to love and help you. And so, as we went through some of the sessions, it's all about managing these personality patterns and seeing the compassionate heart underneath each of the people.
Well, I know that you have some programs that you have coming up this year now that can help people get love the way they need and lead a juicier life. So I don't know if you have a gift for our listeners, or there's a way for them to take advantage of what you do. Is there a place that they can go? Tell us a little bit about
Absolutely. If they go to my website, eileenhead.com, you're going to find two things. You're going to find many things on there. One is that the personality test is free. Start there. The second one is I have a free strategy call. Like, hop on, let me see what's happening, where you are, what resources I have that I can customize specifically for you, a coaching program. I want people to take action. I know, 35 years staying in a stuck marriage was debilitating. It was, now that I look at my life, and I'm single now, I love being single, it changes your life. It changes your energy. It changes your perspective of life. And there's so much more joy in juice.
Wow, that's fantastic. So if they go to your website, which is Eileen, and that's spelled Eileen, Eileen Head, HEAD.com, you're going to find all of those things there. And take that personality test. I think it's very interesting. I've done several tests, and I know that sometimes I can become overbearing, and yet there are other times I am so compassionate and sensitive. And you really do make a lot of adjustments in your day. So to know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what you think you want and what you really want are two different things. And so go to Eileen's site and see what she has to offer, because I think it's just something that everybody needs to do and to know and be a part of. We have about 2 minutes left, Eileen. What have we not told our audience that you would like them to know?
When I learned the foundation of my personality, it was like everything went peaceful and calm. I feel powerful in that I understand why people are reacting the way they are with me, or I understand my own, how come that pattern came up again? And I understand what people are looking for underneath maybe a hard exterior or dramatic emotions. Each personality is looking for a certain way to be loved and valued and accepted that. And with that knowledge, you can create very strong, loving, connected relationships in your families, at work, with your partners, but most importantly, for yourself. It has been so life-changing for me, and that's why I'm passionate doing this work. But people, you've got to do your inner work to get the life and love you desire.
Yeah, the other thing, of course, and I don't know how much this happens, maybe you can say, is that people do change over time, you know,
Yeah.
and the person that you married at 20 may not be the same person you're married to at 50. So, you know, those are things that people need to consider too. And, you know, I mean, it's part of where we are and who we are. So,
And
um,
sometimes they change at different levels and different times, right?
exactly, exactly. Well, I'll tell you something. Really, really important to get a hold of what Eileen has to offer. So go to her website, eileenhead.com. Find out, you know, what she has there that you can take advantage of, and then decide if she's the person for you. Because she's
Mm.
worked with a lot of people, she can certainly help you. She can spot things that you don't know because she's an expert in this field. And, you know, I think you'll really enjoy it. So I really want to thank you for being with us today, Eileen. It was a pleasure. And hopefully, you're going to have some people calling you and saying, "Help! I need your help."
Well, I'm so
So,
grateful to you for allowing me to share my passion for helping people on your platform, and I can see that you're also passionate about sharing and helping people to lead a happier and juicier life.
well, thanks, Eileen.
Hi, this is Dr. Gayle, and I wanted you to know I have a whole bunch of other things to offer you. If you go to spunkyoldbroad.com, you will see an array of SOB stuff for sale and all our latest products and additions. If you're interested in getting on TV, I have a brand new course, Get on TV. And if you want to start your own business, you'll want my SOB Guide to Business Success. I know you'll love them all. I guarantee it.
This is Dr. Gayle Carson, thanking you for listening to Living Regret Free, the show that gives you skills and techniques to achieve a regret-free life. Don't live a life of stress and negativity when you could be experiencing a life of joy, happiness, and reward. Our guests all have valuable tips to make your life a better one. If you enjoyed today's show, then join us next week for more exciting and informative guests on Living Regret Free. And I would love to hear from you as to people you'd like on the show, questions you have for me, and you can also email me at Gayle, that's Gayle Carson 13 at gmail.com, or go to my website, spunkyoldbroad.com.